Hey guys, I'm Kaylin. Welcome back to Fable Hill Farm. Today is June 29th, 2021, and in celebration of finally hitting 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, which is a huge milestone for me. So excited and thankful to all of you who watch my videos, who like, who comment, who share, who subscribe, who interact with me. I appreciate you all. Thanks for taking the time to watch my videos. To celebrate 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to go ahead and do a full homestead tour and show you guys what we've got going on, show you the ducks and the chickens and the goats and the turkeys and the garden, all of it. I'm about to take you around right now and show you all we've got going on. So buckle up. This is going to be a bit longer video. Again, this is a full homestead tour here on our 10-acre property here in West Michigan. I actually just picked up feed today, got all that unloaded. I'm going to take you guys over to the goat barn first. Just a forewarning, we won't spend more than a second in there because it's going to be very loud because there are two noisy little baby goats that you're about to see. We have been getting just dumped on with rain, and it's been very hard on the goats. If you don't have goats, especially dairy goats, big time weather changes like a lot of rain or excessive heat can cause a big drop in production for your does. With goats, you can get a lot of respiratory issues if things are, wet, especially wet and hot or wet and cold. It's just a challenge. Barn here. Fan going. Turn this off. All right, boys. So I'm here in my goat barn. This is what I call the nursery area, also used as a kidding stall. If you haven't seen my previous video on my goat barn that my husband and father-in-law built these stalls in for me, I'll link it down below. I have a little goat that's trying to eat this, as you can see. This is Detour. See you at Little Red Barn. Rocks, paper, scissors, but seriously, just calm down. Detour is a bottle baby. Got him from See You at Little Red Barn as a Nigerian Dwarf breeder in Muncie, Indiana. And this is, all right, I'll stand up. We'll see how this is. So Detour is our junior herd sire that's hopefully going to be up to the job here very soon to get a couple does bred for spring kids next year. And this is Sprout. This is Sunny's son. He was born here on our farm, and he is just a little over 8 weeks old. And yesterday, oh my gosh, I forgot I had a blackberry in my pocket. Yesterday I started weaning Sprout after I saw he was getting a little bit too mature, sexually mature, with our doeling who's on lease, essentially haggis. So they just reach a point where they can, impregnate their sisters or their moms, and some bucks do it earlier than others. 8 weeks is not uncommon, so he had to be separated, unfortunately. He's going to get a bottle here this afternoon. I'll give him another bottle. He had a morning bottle, and he'll get one in the evening. Detour still gets a little bit of milk with his Decox M, which is a milk-soluble coccidia prevention that I've been using this season. I have not had any issues with coccidia. I also give a product called GI Soother to my kids. And there's, some other holistic management protocols that I use for things like respiratory, distress. The kids, Sunny's kids, Sprout and Sai, that you'll see in a second, her doeling, did have pneumonia several weeks ago. Well, I guess about a month ago now. And that's something that they've been recovering from. And I did use an antibiotic for that. It was a life-threatening situation for him at that age. So Sprout's doing really good. He is growing good. He's eating good. At this point in time, my plan with Sprout is to keep him for 2 years and not use him on any does to freshen his sister Sai and see how her udder looks, how she milks to Fresh and Sunny, the dam again, and see, you know, what I think about her as far as her longevity, as far as her production. She's milking just over 3 pounds as a first freshener. She's 58 days in milk as of today, and she's doing really well. I love her udder texture. It is amazing. These goats are just eating me. That's what goats do. But she's a beautiful doe. I love her. I'm excited to see her daughter freshen. I will probably breed both her and her daughter to Detour here. I may change that. I got to shave Shady, who is my new doe Wendy's son that I have on lease for my mentor. And I'd like to see what he looks like underneath. He will be hopefully appraised this fall. It looks like we should have a date being issued to us soon. My mentor would be a host herd. This would be my first time ever going to an appraisal, first time being appraised, of course. So I'm really excited, and I hope that that all pans out with ADGA and the linear appraisal program. One thing I forgot to show you guys, I wanted to show you real quick. I will do a video more in detail on this at another time, but my husband did build me this awesome milk machine. This is a vacuum pump. I think it's a 9 CFL vacuum pump. He designed it to milk 2 goats at a time, and we do have the other set of inflations. It's only hooked up to 1 set right now, but this is a fully portable. It's not an oilless. It does take oil down here. This is a Hilmar vacuum pump. He designed this after I showed him some videos of the Johnson family farmstead, whose videos I love. Really great people. You should definitely check out their channel. I'll link it down below if you're not already familiar with them. They do similar things as far as milk testing and showing goats. They have Nigerians as well, of course. We were going to get the Simple Pulse all-in-one lids, but they've been out of stock, and my husband had initially designed a lid, and we just got these ones in from Simple Pulse, and these are nice because they're made to fit different type jars. They're like a silicone and plastic, and they just pop right off, which makes it easy to dump out the jars, especially for cleaning. Having a milk machine, it makes milking your goats so much faster, so much better. Let me tell you. All right, I'm coming out here to this other pen where I assume I will find the rest of the herd here. We used to use this as our main living area for our does when we first got them, and so we converted that old shed over there into a functional goat barn. You can see, of course, this is obviously a pen. This used to be a chute, and I'll link my video I did where I really talked about this and walked around and showed you guys everything. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to stay on task, or this video will be super long. But if you would like to check that out and see how we've taken a space destined for cattle and turned it into a functional space for goats, you can watch that video. And here's the rest of the herd. Lots of hay. Everybody is hanging out. We've got Heidi here, who is a hopefully bred dry yearling. We have Miss Finkel here, who is a definitely bred dry yearling. She's bred to a really exciting young buck, TUA Farms Bold Image, that I'm very, very hopeful she will give me at least 1 doe, huh, Finkel? Finkel is the herd queen. We have Miss Cherry here, who is her second in command. Cherry, I've yet to really do a full story. If you guys are interested in hearing about her and her extra teat and whether or not she is going to be butchered, you can let me know below. You can see here she's got a double teat. She's got humongous teats for a Nigerian. She milks great. She's super sweet. So is she a pet or is she going to be meat? That is the question. And then here we have Miss Wendy, who's the newest doe to the herd from my mentor. And Wendy is a little wacky. I call her Wacky Wendy. She's a little neurotic, but beautiful doe. Great brood doe, proven. Lots of successful daughters, a granddaughter that just went Best Junior Doe in show in, I believe, Ohio, in a really competitive show that's owned by my mentor, Monster Truck. And her, daughter, Walla, who just finished her championship this year. And Those goats will be going to the American Dairy Goat Association Nationals in Louisville here in July upcoming, just a few weeks away. We have Miss Sunny here, who's Sprout's mom, and little Cy, who's Sprout's littermate sister. So sweet. This is my heart goat. She's just my little lap goat, aren't you, girl? Look at that face. She's so sweet. And Haggis, last but not least, who is, as I mentioned, a Lee Stoling. She came with her mom, Wendy. So sweet. Sunny is just the best mom. She's so sweet. I'm curious to see how her production is impacted by no longer having her buckling on her. Her milk will definitely decrease. We'll see how she balances out. Sai. Look at that face. She's just so sweet. Little milk mustache now. Cute. She's a beautiful little doeling. I think Sprout is a bit wider between the hocks. She's got a nice brisket, looking like pretty nice front end. I really love the length of body on her. I mean, she's very long. She definitely excels in that compared to Sprout. Goodbye, goats. That's what I get, huh? I get a blackberry in the pocket. I get a red hand. I haven't even eaten this blackberry. I just walked by a bunch of birds. I guess I'll show you guys here. Here's the woodshed, very empty and sad and needing to be filled up with wood again before the winter. Got a bunch of rogue young pullets. This beautiful little Bantam rooster that I hatched, which of course he's got to be a rooster. He's so cool looking. I think I want to name him like Death Metal or something like that. Do you guys have any suggestions? Look how cool he is. He's rock and roll, dude. Some ducks. Here's my black ripple hen. And some of her ducklings. This beautiful little lilac here. See if I can shoo them out. Loving the color on this lilac. Hoping it's a hen. I think it is. As well as this chocolate here. That's this beautiful rich chocolate. Those were both bred by my friend. And then and see the coops here. Again, we've had really excessive rain, so it's just been kind of miserable, but we're getting through it. Just cleaned out a bunch of bedding today, and I went ahead and mulched part of this in-ground garden here. I will show you guys my other garden, my raised beds and my greenhouse here when we get on the other side of the farm. This garden space here is just kind of one out of necessity. We want, you know, more tomatoes for canning. We put a few pumpkins in here. It's not a great spot when you have chickens right next to it, and we really, you know, haven't done a whole lot to keep our chickens out of here. We need to just have something that's fenced, that's separate away from the chickens. Eventually, I want to totally move my chicken flock to mobile Justin Rhodes chicken tractor kind of a thing, as far as just working the chickens on the farm, having the chickens work for me. They do go out in the pasture, but they really need to be more focused. I'd like them out of the coop because I'd love to use this structure to some different ends, and I think it would just be cool to have a totally mobile flock. We really only need, you know, X amount of chickens for eggs for our family and for a few family friends, but at this point, chickens are just fun to me. We love fresh eggs. I don't really want the chickens to take up a lot of space in my life, however. If you have chickens, you know how destructive they can be, especially in a garden. But there will be enough tomatoes here that we can all share, and that's not a problem. I like that. That's why we enjoyed having the garden here last year. There are certain things that chickens won't kill. Like you can see these tomato plants here are actually doing quite well for the horrors that they've been through, and that's a whole nother story. But I had some really bad frost damage to my plants and lost a lot of my starts that I just poured so much love and time and energy into. So here we are, and things are still growing, and lots of the plants came back. These are all tomato plants. They need some serious pruning. A little basil plant here. I will start tying these up here soon. That one's definitely ready for it, and pruning them heavily here pretty shortly, and then I'll fertilize again. And I just put this mulch down, so I'm sure we will get more rain to wet it, and I've got a lot more to mulch. I'm trying to get to it. Another basil plant here. In between some of them, this is just totally an experiment. I planted some bean plants, and the chickens did already eat most of them, but I see there's still a few here that are still growing. Hey, need to photosynthesize, don't you, buddy? So tomatoes are heavy nitrogen feeders, and beans add nitrogen to the soil. They're nitrogen fixers. So I just thought I would experiment by throwing a few bean plants in there and seeing if I noticed any differences comparatively to the tomatoes last year. So I had my friend who lives in Greenville come over a few days ago, and she was a huge help and helped me to sort out all of my juvenile Muscovies that have gotten some good feathering on them to be able to see colors and patterns. And she helped me to do a little sexing, which is not an exact science, but I did learn quite a bit from her as far as looking at the beak length and shape, and that's something I can talk about in another video if you guys would like me to touch on it. And so there's about 35 ducklings in this pen. I hate to have these ducklings in this pen. If you know my channel, if you know my flock, it's really important to me to free range birds, and this is just not ideal for this number of ducks. They can go inside. They've actually got a lot of room. That's not the issue. That's just not how I raise my birds. I have the luxury to have the land that seems to be adequate for my flock to keep them free ranging and keep them happy and healthy without them also getting into trouble and wandering and all that. This property has just worked well for our Muscovies, but I needed to sort them out to know who I was keeping and who I was able to list for sale. And I actually have somebody coming this afternoon. Also, when I went to get feed today, shout out to Jim and Crystal Zinda, I believe that's how you pronounce their last name, over at Full Circle Farm, which is in Lakeview. That's where I buy my feed. Used to buy my feed from a wonderful Amish gentleman. He and his family moved away. Jim and Crystal took over his feed business. That's how I met them. They're really nice people. They mentioned today a possible opportunity dealing with a local restaurant who is looking for some duck meat. So we have a bit more discussing, Crystal and I, about that. So that was just kind of a cool new thing. I don't know, where it will lead, but we have a lot of ducks. We raise them for meat. We would love to be able to work it out to put ducks into the hands of a couple of chefs who are going to appreciate the premium product that we're growing, who are willing to pay for it, who know how to cook it, and who are going to want to come back year after year and put ducks seasonally on their menus and feature our farm in doing so. That is really the end goal for us as far as the Muscovies. And I have some other goals as far as breeding for the rare colors, which Muscovies come in really cool colors, and yes, I do love them, and they're like Pokemon, you got to collect them all. But also something about breeding for the lighter colors like the silver and the buff and things like that is that they're easier to butcher because the feathers, the pin feather that actually is often left in the skin is lighter colored. So when you don't get 100% of the feathers, which is a near impossible feat, the whiter feathers, same thing on like a turkey or a Peking, whatever, they just look cleaner. I've got to show you guys real quick Godzilla, the dwarf Cornish cross chicken. We just butchered our second batch of Cornish cross a couple weeks ago. I actually got really sick. I got what I think to be salmonella poisoning from that. I had, just keep everything super sterile and wash your hands and all that. And I had at one point when I was helping to process these chickens, chicken, just juice and everything that splashed up into my face. That really grossed me out because, I've seen my sister when we were children have E. coli poisoning, and made me really horrified about, bacteria like that can make you really, really sick. And so I've always taken meat super seriously as far as how it was cooked. I've learned, of course, when you're talking about fresh meat, when you're talking about, a steak from a nice restaurant or whatever, I've learned to modify my taste to not offend chefs when I order meat at a restaurant. But, it's just something I do take very seriously. And somehow still, having this incident, I got really sick and was just horribly ill for like 4 or 5 days, which really put me behind on everything at the farm. And I'm just now catching up. We've got my lavender capped hen who has, as my friend pointed out, molted her cap entirely, but she is actually a lavender-based hen. Her name is Swan. She had 6 ducklings. This was her first time hatching, and only one I left out in the keep a little longer area with the main flock, just to watch it grow and feather before I make determinations. This was the one we selected that looks the most to be like a hen. And this is Hadja. Hadja's a blue pied, and she had a nest. If you'll remember, if you've seen my other videos, there was a barrel here, and she had a nest, and she did a really bad job. I don't know if it was her fault or the barrel or what, at hatching her eggs, and she did not have a successful hatch. She kicked out a lot of the bedding and spread the eggs around too much and just wasn't sitting on them properly, and I noticed it was an issue for quite a while. Just let her do her thing, and anyways, I had to pull the eggs. So she actually grafted herself onto Swan's 6 ducklings, and they're both here in this corner because the ducklings are in there and they want the ducklings, which is sad, but you know, realistically we can't keep all of them, and ducks are not sentimental creatures once their babies mature. So you know, once they're sold today, they'll stop hanging out in here hopefully and raise the one duckling they have. So I've actually been dealing with mites in my chicken population, which has been really stressful. I have a product called Elector PSP. This is the second time I've ever had mites in the 2 years I've had chickens. I got them the first year, did a lot of research. I bought this product, which is the only product on the market to treat some different types of mites that is safe, that has no egg withdrawal time, so you can, you know, eat the eggs the next day from that chicken and it's not going to hurt you in any way. The product is very expensive, but the bottle lasts a long time because you dilute it in water and all that. It worked amazing last year, killed them no problem. This year I think we had a few other issues as far as not spraying in certain nooks and crannies, and we didn't spray the nest boxes properly. My skin is honestly just crawling talking about it, but you know, it happens. And so we've cleaned the whole coop thoroughly, we've sprayed again. I realized the product loses efficacy quite quickly, so you're not supposed to store it. And when I realized that I had missed a spot quite extensively in the nest box area when I had first sprayed them and I was still seeing the mites, I went ahead and you know, cleaned out the nest boxes and all that and sprayed again. But I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to reuse it, so then it just wasn't, you know, potent enough to kill the remaining population, so had to remix it, and then we just retreated everything. So we should be sitting pretty now, and then we'll clean everything out again, do the Elector PSP. I'll have to double check just to get, you know, any eggs that might hatch and reinfect. I think it's 7 days, maybe it's 10. I'll have to look, and then we should be totally done. So fingers crossed. My skin's growing, but I want to show you guys something real fast inside the coop. So you can see the ducks have this whole inside run, feed bins here, coop. Oh, sorry, Hannibal. I named this hen Hannibal Lecter. She's such a freaky looking chicken. All right, we've got everybody nesting. Nice clean eggs. Nice chickens. This nest is either going to hatch soon or it's not. Fleetfoot, who just keeps wanting to be broody. And then in here, we have chicks. There's 3 Bantam chicks. And then these 2, I think they're black copper Marans. They might be Allweggers, I'm not sure. I think the big one's black copper Maran. Chicks in here, and I'm going to give them a couple more days. I just give them food and water. I'm going to go ahead and clean that out, it looks like. But they're doing good in here. Their mom kind of abandoned them, but it's so warm, it really doesn't matter. And we lost a lot of the Bantam chicks. I think they were getting stepped on by the turkeys. So I put them in there to keep them alive, and they're kind of just brooding right in the coop, right with the flock. So here is Uhtred, our livestock guardian dog in training, but he's a good boy, huh, bud? Hi. Uhtred is 8 months old, I think. I'll have to double check that. Sounds about right. I will be shooting an update video here very soon. As far as how Uhtred's doing, that's going to be a separate video. I might even shoot it today if I have the time. He's a good boy. I know lots of you would like to hear about him, so I will fill you guys in on where he's at with his training in another video. Looks like the bucks are just hanging out. It's a beautiful day. It's cooled off, which is nice. Looks like it's gonna storm again. But... So this hen has given up. It seems like I'm getting her other ducklings in the house. They were just born a day or two ago. I don't know if she's got more eggs hatching or what, but she's got 3 ducklings out here hollering. I have this group of juveniles here. See if I can get a better look. This group of juveniles here, a lot of barred birds that I'm keeping my eye on. A silver barred, hopefully a drake, a lilac barred, quite a few lilac bards. I'll keep a drake out of that too. You can see Merlin and chocolate pied hen. And then these poor little 3 ducklings down here that this mom's just abandoned apparently. Alright, well, I'm going to try this. I've chased her out so that she can reunite. There are the other ducklings. My goodness. Take care of your babies, lady, or you won't get to stick around. You need to teach them how to come up here or stop bringing them in here. You know, honestly, I don't want ducks who aren't good at raising their own young. It's part of the reason why we chose Muscovies as our breed, because they're so good at being sustainable and raising their own young without much human interference. That's the way we like it. So hopefully she's going to get it together, because she is a beautiful hen, but she will not stick around if she can't take care of her babies. And that's, you know, one of the differences in looking at things farming or homesteading is, you know, no matter what you're doing, are you keeping pets? Are you raising food? Are you trying to make money? Are you trying to make side income? Are you just trying to be more sustainable? When you look at the basics of, you know, raising livestock, you want animals that are capable of, you know, having young successfully, of breeding successfully, of having young without, you know, needing a vet involved every time. In the case of a, you know, a duck, this duck had a really poor hatch rate. She's got 14 eggs in there, I think I counted, that did not hatch, and she's got 4 ducklings. And she is already not doing a good job of keeping track of them. So definitely a red flag to me, but I'll give her a chance here. We'll see what happens. Otherwise she'll be sold. She's, like I said, I mean, she's a beautiful hen. She's one of my absolute favorites. She's just so pretty to look at. But here's what it is. We'll see. Alright, so if we go back in the duck house, also got Miss Pearl on a nest finally. I thought she was barren. Getting ready to sell her. Look at her. She's ferocious. Muscovies are just so intimidating. And she's huge. And then we have this pretty buff girl whose nest should be ready to hatch at any time. I don't think she's had any yet. We've also got the turkeys way out in the now turkey tractor that had our meat chickens in it. I'm not going to take you guys all the way out there, but I'll just show you some footage right now of how the turkeys are doing. So you can see here are the turkeys, 8 of them out here on the back of the buck pasture. Here's my trusty sidekick in the mornings who comes to check on the turkeys, check them out, checks on them a few times during the day, don't you, bud? Good boy. We'll tread. Gave them fresh water. They've got their grain, non-GMO. Gave them some skim milk today from a local raw dairy that my mother-in-law gave me last night for them after she made some delicious homemade ice cream. And they're growing good. They look nice. I'm moving them every day. I started off trying every 2 days, and I did that for a couple of days and just wasn't happy with the amount of poop that was there in 2 days. So moving them every day, and that's working well. So yeah, turkey tractor, chicken tractor, livestock tractor, that thing that my husband and my father-in-law and my brother-in-law's built together, has turned out to be really versatile, and being able to pull it now with the Ranger, I guess I always could, I just never did. It was breaking my back. It's very heavy. but it works for so many different things. So I really like it. Here's our 2 Muscovy drakes. Merlin blue bar drake, who is actually available for sale. If you are near me, I'm in West Michigan. He is for sale. I'll put my website down below. You can check that out. He's given me lots of beautiful ducklings, but I need to keep expanding my genetic pool and reach my breeding goals. Gatsby, my buff drake here, who's molting, starting to look a little bit better. And you can see they're buddies, they hang out, sometimes they fight. All right, and to wrap this video up, I'm gonna show you guys the garden, the actual garden, not just like the sacrifice chicken garden. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it the chicken sacrifice garden. That's over there by the chicken coop, and here is the human garden that's hopefully gonna produce a decent amount of food for our little family. So this, if you guys will remember, if you've been here for a while, is what I had been calling like a hugelkultur bed, and it's layered with lots of different types of organic materials, and it's still pretty heavy, not broken down underneath. But then my husband went ahead and put some compost from our compost pile the other day over it, which was my plan, and he and my daughter actually came out here and planted this bed and the other one I'm going to show you with. There's a bunch of peppers, which my husband has never done any gardening before, really. Like, he's helped me a little bit, but he's never done it, especially not like planted things himself. And he actually planted all this with Ellie, so that's just super cool. And he said I'll probably yell at him and tell him we planted some things close together. But again, these plants came back from just death with the frost damage they got. And you can see how great these peppers look, and they have been in pots, these particular peppers, since, you know, I started them in March, I think. So they've been in pots a long time. They just now got planted and they look great. So I mean, they've been fertilized a little. And then over here is a very weedy potato bed. These are Adirondack blue potatoes, never grown potatoes before. Need to hill them up again for sure. Hopefully they're not too tall. They might be, I'm not sure. Kind of been neglecting these, to be honest. You can see this side here didn't germinate as well or do as well. And then here we've got some more potatoes. These are some like russet potatoes, just grocery store potatoes. And then here's the rest of the plants that Trent and Ellie planted, some pumpkins and some dill, and I think he said some squash, some cucumbers. So we will see how this does. This is kind of a recipe for disaster. This stuff is definitely too close together, especially when you talk about pumpkins, cucumbers, but we'll see how it does. At this point, I'm glad they're in the ground. These are the remnants of my plants that just haven't got planted yet or got really damaged. Still slowly putting some things in and just seeing if they grow, I guess. Savvy's looking hot, huh, old girl? Gotta dump my wheelbarrow out. Look at it. Ugh. So here is my raised bed little garden here. Definitely a weedy garden. Had a lot going on between goat shows and being sick and butchering chickens and doing all of these things, but the garden is full of life, so I'm going to show it to you guys. This is real. I don't have time to weed. I have a toddler and I have goats and I have a lot going on in my life. You know, I still have to do everything on the day-to-day, plus I have a YouTube channel. It's a lot, but hey, look at this garden. It's starting to look great. Got some Swiss chard here, which I'll probably juice some of that. I want to try some of this in a stir fry. This is a ruby red Swiss chard. Some marigolds here. This is, I think this is supposed to be mullein, maybe? This is the mullein. I'm not sure what this one is. I didn't leave the tag in it. It's some kind of medicinal plant. Bunch of peppers in here, and you can see the size difference in these. These ones were planted a while ago in this bed, at least a few weeks, beginning of June, I think. And they're looking good. Lots of weeds here. A little spider. A little mushroom here. Got some radishes that, I'm not sure. I had bad luck growing radishes. Really have. These two big leafy guys are well, you guys, my GoPro died because it got too hot. It shut off. I really just want to get this video done because I want to edit it and get it out to you guys and share it and celebrate my 1,000 subscribers with all of you. So I'm just going to keep rolling on my iPhone here. These are the Zucchino rampicante. It's like a Italian heirloom zucchini type plant. Really excited about those. Excited to see these trellises filled. Lots of peppers here. We've got an eggplant. These are a bunch of bush beans that I planted, and they're looking great and starting to, you know, move along in the flowering process. Can't wait for those beans. Have some slow bolt cilantro from MI Gardener that's trying to bolt on me, but it's been here quite a while, so I'm not upset about that. But let's pick these back. This one's already gone and bolted, but that's okay. I would love to get cilantro that comes back every year, so I'm just gonna let this one go to seed. Got a scarlet kale here. Definitely need to stake this little blueberries cherry that's here, and there's quite a few volunteer tomato plants in here because I had tomatoes in here, and this one got a little bit too much competition here. Look at all these are all tomato plants. Right now there's just one right there. Well, this one's here it is. Got away from me. Yeah, tomatoes there. I planted a bunch of medicinal herbs in here, and we'll just see. Here's some chamomile, different things, echinacea, basils. We'll see how it all comes up. These are calendula, which I'm excited for. More peppers. These are actually the ones I saved. I planted a bunch of peppers in my garden. The chickens started destroying them, so I had to rip a bunch of them out, and I just threw them in this bed, and there were quite a few, and I knew they would be too close together and that some of them would die off, but I figured I would see who were the stronger contenders before I pulled up a couple of them. So yeah, I might pull this guy out, but I might leave it and see. Big old lettuce heads here. Pick that soon. Another one down there. And then these are just a bunch of different cucumbers, and they are starting to climb. Again, can't wait to see these arch trellises just covered with life. So excited for that, our first year. Look at this gorgeous head of lettuce. I got small hands, but that's a big head of lettuce. Some basil and, you know, different more lettuces here. And then over on this side, more cucumbers. Some more cucumbers along here. Some nasturtiums, which I haven't had luck with either. Oh, I just took that right off. Some more cilantro that's bolting. These are some beans, which were supposed to be a bush bean, but appear to be a runner bean. So I'm not sure about that. Wanted again to try that whole nitrogen fixing thing with this one cherry tomato. I think this is a cherry that I planted here. So we'll see how that goes now that they appear to be mislabeled and are actually a runner bean. Kale here, more Swiss chard, some lettuces. As for the greenhouse is empty because it's very, very hot in there. The fruit trees really aren't doing much. We've got to do a lot more TLC of them. They've been diseased since we bought the property, which we didn't know. Something that's important to learn when you're living this lifestyle is that there are just going to be so many things you want to do, but there's only enough time to do so many things and to do those things well. And that's really important, is to do what you do well, especially when it comes to taking care of livestock, when breeding livestock, managing livestock. So there are certain things that I've had to say, I don't have the space or the energy or the time for that in my life right now, and I'm just going to get to it when I can get to it, and that's not in this season of life. So I'm learning to let go of things, trying to do that, trying to have grace for myself and remember that this is just a season of life with having very small young children, and I still do an unbelievable amount of stuff in a day, and I'm really proud of all the work that we've done here on our farm, but the fruit trees are just something that we haven't been able to devote our time or resources to just yet. Grapes are growing. This is a great little spot for summer parties here with the shade. Get my GoPro. These are a white grape. They are jamming. You can see the birds always get lots. We get a good amount. It's looking fairly healthy this year. You can see there's been some caterpillars. We'll have to do a little hunting for them to eradicate them now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you who watch my videos, who comment, who like, who share, who subscribe. 1,000 subscribers is an amazing feat, and I am really appreciative to all of you. I enjoy sharing my farm and my life and my projects and my holistic management, livestock, systems with all of you, and I just so appreciate the community and the connection with like-minded people, because there's honestly not many of them where I live and that are my age and who have, the same passions as me. So that's one of the really beautiful things about YouTube and this community, is getting to know like-minded people, even from all over the world. I've got some viewers in a lot of different places, and I love to hear about what you have going on. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.